school. It's how America's TikTok stars spend their mornings. As the new school year approaches, COVID-19 has made things more complicated than your math teacher's comb over. Because the big question is, even if the virus isn't a major threat to children, can they become adorable super spreaders who infect teachers, staff, and their families back home? Well, now we might be getting some answers.
As many school systems weigh their options and evaluate data, a large and systematic new study out of South Korea suggests kids younger than 10 spread the disease less, about half as much as adults. But children above the age of 10 can spread the virus at the same rate as adults.
Older kids, those teenagers, get infected more frequently than younger kids, and that it's something we do have to be mindful of as we bring kids back to school.
Oh man, this is really not good. Scientists now say teenagers can spread the virus just as easily as adults. And you know, some parents are going to try brag about this. You know, little Timmy is only 13, but apparently he spreads COVID at a college level. And I don't think any of this should be surprising to anyone. Like, I'm not a scientist, but of course, teenagers can spread coronavirus everywhere. Just look at how well they spread rumors. For the last time, guys, I did not pee my pants in math class, okay? I peed them in English in first period. So look, this isn't great news. The only silver lining is that it might at least help stop bullying.
I'd shove you in a locker right now, but my nana has a compromised immune system.
So clearly, if kids go back to school, there's a good chance the virus is going to spread even more. Which means Americans have two choices. Immediately devote massive resources to helping schools implement safety regimes so that kids can be protected, tested, and monitored. Or two, don't do that.
Missouri Governor Mike Parson is pushing for kids in his state to go back to school even if they get sick.
These kids have got to get back to school. They're at the lowest risk possible. And if they do get COVID-19, which they will, and they will when they go to school, they're not going to the hospitals. They're not going to have to sit in doctor's office for days. They're going to go home, and they're going to get over it.
Okay, now here's the thing. Governor Parson is not wrong, right? Kids are the least susceptible to COVID-19. And if they do get sick, they usually don't need to go to the hospital. They can stay home. But what he seems to be forgetting is that unless all these kids live in Neverland, they go home to adults, which is not good. Because you see, coronavirus is like baby shock. It can't hurt kids, but it will destroy adults' lives. So basically, if you don't get corona under control, the schools can turn into an Amazon fulfillment center for coronavirus. It starts in a centralized location, and within a couple of days, it's personally delivered to everyone's house, or maybe one day with Prime. The only way this isn't going to get adults infected is if parents and their kids have no contact. I mean, no communication, no affection whatsoever, no touching. Basically, Trump's relationship with Eric. And parents aren't the only ones in danger here. Unsurprisingly, teachers all across America are not enthused at the idea of having to put their lives at risk so that little Aiden can build a baking soda volcano. In fact, in a historic move, Florida's largest teachers union is now suing Florida's governor for ordering schools to fully open in a few weeks. And look, until these issues are resolved, most parents in America are stuck between a rock and a hard place. Because what do? Do you keep your kids at home, teach them yourself, and eventually blow your brains out? Or do you take the risk, send them to school, and gamble with your family's health? Well, many rich families have decided they're going with option C.
Parents worried about sending their kids back to school are coming together to create smaller so-called pandemic pods.
Pandemic pods, a 2020 version of the one-room schoolhouse. The small groups of students are getting together and paying for a private teacher. The pods are seen as a way to mitigate risks and give kids a chance to socialize and learn together during in-person teaching. The cost for private instructors can run anywhere between $25 and $80 per hour, adding to concerns that the coronavirus pandemic is exacerbating the inequities in the education system.
Yes, rich people are getting private instructors because one, they can't afford it, and two, because they aren't allowed to just bribe colleges anymore. And here we have yet another way the education gap in America is going to become even wider. Because after this pandemic, you're going to have kids who are supposed to be at a 5th grade reading level only reading at a 2nd or 3rd grade level. And if this generation comes out of school not being able to read, I mean, what jobs are going to be available to them? I mean, president for sure, but what else? So that's where America is right now. In a time when students need help more than ever, The government is going from no child left behind to, yo, you kids are on your own.